Hello, my name is Anthony Janice, author of the Circles of Light trilogy, and I thought I'd make this post or video in terms of a couple of questions I've had from people in terms of my own writing, and actually what I've seen a lot on Facebook posts and different writing forums. And that's really to do with what's really evil in books and what type of evil should you put, what's acceptable and things like that. The real question, or the real answer, is anything's acceptable. I guess you can strategically place it in different ways. You could be subtle in certain areas, and you can feel that bad for possibly offending other people. But when you really think about it, when you're writing evil, in my opinion, the one thing you must do is make people feel uncomfortable. You know, you get a lot of movies, films, books that I've read and watched where evil and violence is glorified. It's seen as a good thing. I mean, it's, for me, as a writer, I don't feel that's the right way. I feel you're projecting a certain idea that violence and any sort of evil act, no matter how you think it may be justified, is good. Well, it's not. And I mean, in my trilogy, not so much in the first book. I mean, the second book I start hinting at a lot of dark acts and things like that. But especially the third book, which I won't go into because I've not written it yet, and I don't want to spoil anything. But the amount of say dark acts, or what people would broadly say is evil, is going to be ramped up so much that it may actually be a bit of a shock to people. Now, these evil acts, I mean, when we talk about evil, I was thinking about this yesterday, and I thought, what is evil? And I thought, well, it's an act that can generate every negative emotion within a person. So that could be sadness, disgust, anything else. I mean, the list goes on. I'm not going to bother going into the list because, as you know, we all find evil different in our own ways. But I thought that was a good generalisation to sort of bring it all together. And I remember reading a post the other day from a guy, a fellow writer. He was asking what was acceptable. And you had all these other writers sort of saying this was acceptable, that's acceptable, as long as you don't do it just for the sake of doing it and things like that. And, well, when we do writing, we're doing things for the sake of evoking emotions in you, the reader. So I don't really feel it's that way. I feel that you should, if you're going to write about evil acts or dark acts or negative acts, you have to, as a writer, go for evoking a negative reaction in the reader, because that's what it is. I mean, if you're writing about someone raping someone, or someone abusing a child, or things like that, or let's just say something a bit more level field, let's just say someone killing someone. Now, it could be your favourite character, the good guys. But what's that telling the reader? That if it's okay, if it's justified within them, or society, or their own peer group, that it's okay to kill. I mean, that's cool. It doesn't evoke a negative reaction. It doesn't make them feel uncomfortable with the idea of killing someone, murder. And I feel that that's the wrong way. I mean, even when I speak to people about my work, and they say, "What, you're going to talk about racism? You better watch out because you might harm your sales with the whatever community that I'm talking about in terms of racism." And And that's what I feel a lot of it is. You know, it's a lot of the peer pressure that writers get. It's always about what's accommodating for sales. Let's make it a nice sort of evil or negative act. Let's dumb it down a bit. Let's forget about all the people over the world that are dying with hunger and things like that, while other, countries like mine, Great Britain, exploit them. Third world countries. That's okay. I mean, but I like to write. I think no. I feel in my conscience that it's wrong. So in my writing, I'm gonna write it as though that's what I feel. I mean, not as though that's what I feel. That's how I feel. As a writer or any sort of art form, journalism, anything like that, you've got to write what's in your heart. And in my heart and conscience, I can't write negative or evil or violence in a way that's glorifying it, justifying it. It's very hard to do. So, I mean, I'm not saying in my books that I've achieved that so much. I feel because I'm writing, when I write the third book, there'll be a lot of horrendous stuff happening. I'm actually not really, I mean, a lot of people may think writers look forward to it. You can look forward to action scenes and all that, or good triumphing, or what's seen as good. I mean, that's a broad brush. Everyone thinks good is a different thing. It just depends what you justify it as. So I've been thinking about it a lot, and I've been seeing a few posts and other writers, and it's all this. It's like a political correctness. You can't do this, you shouldn't do that for the sake of it. You shouldn't. Well, you have to put evil and negative acts in a story, otherwise, no one's going to read it. It's just going to be all airy-fairy and nothing's going to happen. So, what my contribution is, I feel in the Circles of Light trilogy, is that when I write negative acts, if the reader feels good about the negative acts that I put in my books, especially book 3, then I've failed. And that's just it. As a writer, I've failed. Because it's not what a collective human right. We shouldn't be profiteering financially or emotionally off of negativity. And that spawns itself in the way of violence and sickening acts and things like that. So, I feel really passionate about it. And that's why, obviously, I'm making this video, because I know that there are going to be other authors, possibly, watching this video, and hopefully readers of the book that are going to be the trilogy that are going to be watching this video, because I think it's got to be one of the most important things. I mean, it's like I've been planning to write a thriller novel about serial killings and all that sort of stuff. But then, apart from the loads of books, thousands, millions of books probably by now, of thrillers that talk about that sort of stuff. Apart from, I need something original and fresh to add. So unless I've got a brilliant idea, then I'm not going to bother. But I keep sort of falling on this sort of spike, and I've been feeling it for the third book in the Circles of Light trilogy, that my one fear, my one worry is that, through writing these evil acts and unintentionally allowing people to sort of feel, wow, oh, that was a great image, that was a great scene, well, we're talking about rape and things like that. It's not a great scene. That should make you feel like you don't want to read on, but you will because you're too curious. That's a human trait. But I want those chapters, those scenes, I want it to be very difficult for you to read. And if I invoke that, and if you feel that, I mean, that's the thing as well. I mean, when I talk to you as the reader, if you feel that what anyone writes or any scenes or despicable acts, negativity or not, if it makes you feel bad, then that's a part of you that's shining above that negativity. And that's something you've got to harbour. It's that feeling you've got to harbour, and that's what I want to bring to light, you know, because there's a lot of, you know, I mean, I guess there'll be a lot of sort of readers that feel really shitty about themselves, you know, or things like that, you know, they feel like a terrible person, things like that. But what I'm saying is, in these horrendous, I mean, they're not going to be pretty as you can imagine. They're not going to be pretty. And if that invokes something in you that thinks, man, that, you know, that's wrong, I mean, that's affecting me, then you always know that there's something worse off than what you feel. And there's a really big reason for me to really push that sort of message, and that's because man, you know, I don't really know how to put it, but I really fucking feel for all the suffering in the world. Walking, oh man, you know, walking by homeless people. Why? Why are there homeless people? Where it's all exploitative. And third world countries, you've got children dying all over the world. You know, from countries exploiting them. I mean, that's what affects me, and I feel that I owe it to those that are suffering more than myself greatly, that when I write something, when I'm writing this trilogy, I feel like I'm trying to represent the suffering of whatever is shown or depicted, or the scenes in my book. Say, for example, a murder scene or a rape scene, an abuse scene. I feel like that I'm representing those who are suffering, and I think, man, you know, the last thing I want is for people to feel happy about reading those scenes. And as I said, if you know, as a reader, if you do, then I've failed. And it's one of those huge points that really, you know, I'm going to strain to get right, even though it sickens me, and it's very hard for me to write. You know, I'm not looking forward to it at all. I mean, that's the truth. But the truth is the truth. I, as a writer, need to write the truth, and I need to do it in a way that's representing those who suffer. And that's what I'd say. I mean, if you're an author as well, like myself, and you're worrying, what should you write, what shouldn't you write? You know, if you're doing it for the right reasons, then it does not matter. Don't shy away from it. Don't be peer pressure. Don't be politically correct. Don't worry about what society will think. Don't worry about what negative effects it'll have on your sales. Because everyone that would read your work and leave a positive feedback, even though there's so much that made them feel uncomfortable, I feel that makes your work worthwhile. Even if you get one or two, you know, they're the ones you've hit. You can sell your book or product, whatever you want to label it as, to millions of people. You become a millionaire. But did it hit? You know, I mean, did it hit them where you intended it to hit them? Did when you wrote all the positive scenes, did it make the reader feel positive? There's hope, and by extension, this creates positivity in their own life, gives them hope for a better life. And that's what we're doing. That's what, as writers, we're doing, isn't it? We're creating a story, but we're creating what we feel are morals, and we hope that other people will agree. And it's perfectly fine that people don't agree. It's your own perception of what is right and wrong, good and evil, and that's what it is. It's about getting the reader to question it, question your work. I don't like this scene because you didn't write it correctly. I didn't feel sickened enough by it. Well, as a writer, I think, well, thank you for letting me know, because that means I need to do more. I need to do more to make you feel uncomfortable. And that's basically all I wanted to say about it. I mean, as I said to just a bit earlier in the video, you know, if you're a writer, don't shy away just because money, sales. Because really, I mean, let's think about it. You're selling yourself. You're selling your own truth. For what? For money. So you can buy a house. So you can have a nice girlfriend or boyfriend hanging on your arm. You know, I mean, it's not what I feel the human condition is. That's you know, it should come from a place of love and compassion. And I mean, the main reason, another main reason, I wanted to really ramp up the negativity and, you know, the uncomfortability in book 3 is because what I see a lot of is in books is there's not enough of it. It doesn't make you feel uncomfortable enough, and that in turn doesn't create a great ending, or if your story ends in a good way, or the characters that represent the good and positive things, it doesn't give them as much weight. Then what are they fighting against? It's just not enough. I'm not saying about being graphic, and you just find a way to make people feel uncomfortable, and then you've done it. You don't need to do any more. So I'd like to thank you for listening to this, hopefully not too depressing, but you know, it's a video that needed to be made. So if you would like to know any more about the Circles of Light trilogy, or myself, or the galleries or anything like that, you can find that all on the website. So it's www.thecirclesoflight.com. You can follow me on Facebook. You just type in the Circles of Light trilogy, and it'd be great if you just like me, you know, read up on the second and third book and anything else you want. You can follow me on Twitter, hashtag @Liliana1985. And you can just keep watching these videos, and I really hope that I've helped in some way. So take care, and thank you very much.